Welcome to another home tour by Deconstruct, where we share with you real renovation prices and tips so that you don't think renovation should be super expensive, nor should you think it's dirt cheap. So today we are at a 4-room resale unit that was entirely redone by a mid-tier designer called Peter for about 100,000. So previously the house looked something like this, quite bare. The homeowners didn't do anything. And then the new homeowners, they wanted it to be a more wabi-sabi vibe. But then over time, you can see why sometimes your initial design team, will be different from what the execution is in the end. So let's go and see how the house looks like now. Okay, let's go. Okay, so you can see this is a 4-room resale. It was entirely redone, the entire flooring, remodeling of the space and whatnot. So let's go through it one by one, okay? So for the living room, the homeowners actually wanted a lot of storage. And remember when I mentioned that they actually wanted a wabi-sabi vibe, but then they realized over time that maybe it won't be the best option because of the functionality, the keeping up of it. So they decided to choose the laminates, which is quite close to that kind of wabi-sabi texture. So across all the board, these are all like cabinet for their future proofing when they need all their storage stuff. So you can see open. And then they created this niche to put all the artifacts, like that $100 New Zealand 3D printing light that they actually bought. So all these, you see, it can be moved one. So depending on their feels for the day, they can adjust all these niche to put the things that they want. So this whole thing is all the storage cabinet. And you can see all the plants, the windows and stuff. So you can see originally their plan for the wabi-sabi house would have been a little bit darker. But then given the layout of the house and how it looks, it makes sense for them to change it to a more like bright and airy style. It's not tied to a particular theme, but it's that whole timeless kind of design as compared to their original wabi-sabi, which looks nice in photo, but when you try to keep it up, it's not the easiest. Okay, you can see the flooring here is all done with tiles because the homeowner got in one. The homeowner said last time when he was young at time, he always need to mop the floor. The alternative, which is the vinyl, while it's cheaper, it does not last as long as tiles. So the homeowner decided, F it, I'll just build everything as tiles. Okay, no vinyl for me. So even if he mops the whole floor when he has his free time and stuff, it doesn't matter, it won't spoil. This whole area, there's quite a fair bit of remodeling, so let me go through it one by one. This originally was a room. So this was actually the 3rd room for a 4-room resale. But they decided to open up the space so that they can put a dining table here as well as an island here. So when they knock down these all walls, it makes the whole living room become bigger, obviously, right? So this is where they host the people in the 3rd room. I said without this 3rd room, it will be harder for them to host people, which they like to do. They included 2 platforms here so that when they travel that time, when they collect all their souvenirs and stuff, they can slowly lay down here. So over time, it will slowly build. I feel like all houses, you will need this kind of platform structure so that with the lights, it really makes the house look nicer. But then the drawback of it 就是这个. Right, like the home, I call the homeowner all nice things will have a practicality issue So if you want something that is nice, sometimes you gotta give a bit of way when it comes to the functionality. Then after that comes to this island. So imagine with me the remodeling that was done down here. So 以前这里是个 peninsula 来的 so 这里是关掉的So the kitchen was so-called more closed concept, but they wanted to open up the area. So what they did was they hacked this area so that they can put an island here so that when they do meal prep and stuff, because the kitchen isn't huge to begin with, so when they need to put stuff for their meal prep, they can put it here. Okay, so this island on top of what they did, you can see that there's all the drawers and stuff so for their fork and spoon. And they also got electrical point here It's very important to have electrical point, okay? For them to run here, they likely 它应该是跑下面the wire, and then they bring it up. So they can have electrical point here. So a good thing is that they didn't put it too low. You put it too low, you always need to bend down, 插电, and then put it up again. But then they put it right at the top so that it's easier when you are standing, you can just 插电 and stuff. So this is very important, okay? Now the island is settled, The 老板 there had 2 requirements for his kitchen as well. 1, he wanted to put a wine chiller. 2, he wanted to put a pantry. Imagine 你这里有个 peninsula, 对吗？你这样放 你的 wine chiller 应该是不懂放哪里你 wine chiller 应该是放 somewhere in the middle which makes the kitchen smaller. So them hacking down this actually open up the area so that the husband and the wife get what they want. They can put a wine chiller here. They can host people with this pantry area, coffee by day, alcohol by night. 就是这样. By the way, this thing here, 这个叫个 corner fan. I love it. The wife loves it. The husband originally didn't like it, but over time he also grew to love it lah because it doesn't take up space. It makes it so much more windier when you're cooking here, and it really adds to the aesthetics of it. 因为这个你看它是个 dark walnut shape color 的，然后它的 laminate 也是嘛， so it blends well together. Okay, so now I need to talk about the lights in this living area. So you can see across the board, normal 4-room resale, the electrical cost right will be about maybe 7,000 generally speaking. But the homeowners pay about 8 or 9,000 because they really like the idea that lights really accentuate the ambience of the place. So 你看不只是上面你看下面全部都是有灯的。So across the house, they really like the lights lah. So they did a false ceiling so that they can cover up the tracks of the light. What they liked for the idea also was that they actually created this middle part. So if you can see this false ceiling, false ceiling is a magical tool either. With false ceiling, you can build it to anywhere you want. How curved you want, how straight you want, how tall you want, how short you want. So with this, they actually curved it. Remember, they wanted a wabi-sabi tone, right? So this was where they added a little bit of curve. And then this created the platform for them to not only hide the beam here, but aesthetically, they can still add lights across the house. So the homeowner said, actually, if we come at night to pie, it will look much nicer. These switches here, the homeowner just wanted 1 or 2 places to put their switches. So they decided, okay, everything comes into here. You know, sometimes when you do electrical, you'll put like one switch here, one switch there, one switch here, one switch there. Then you don't even know which switch controls what. So they decided, screw it, I'm just going to put everything here, right? And then some of it will be two-way. So you can see island, walkway, the latch, right? This is on, then they will off it here. And then there will be some of the switches here that with 2 ways with the entrance. So some areas, for example, the living room, and the master where you always walk in and out one, right? You should try to put 2-way, it will really save your life because you don't have to always to go to that place to on the switch. But you can on it when you go in, off it when you go out. It's very convenient. Okay, so this is more or less the switches, the living room, the remodeling that they did. Okay, before we explore this room, we take a look at the common bar first. Okay, so you can see the assortment of tiles, the more grainy kind of texture and feeling that they are looking for. Okay, the one main regret that the homeowner had from the renovation, right? Not because of the ID but because of the space. 因为它 common bathroom 真的是太小了。So end of day the water just splashes out and it gets very frustrating for the homeowner So this is something that he felt quite regretful about. So we can see how to fix it next time But yeah, this was the main regret that he had for the common bathroom. Now to the common room. Okay, so you can see this common room is where they work from home. So the mister will be here with his secret lab chair and the missus will be here with the Ogre tune. The key thing I want you to take note of from this room, right, is this whole storage cabinet. Remember I said the homeowner wanted to future-proof the house, so they needed a lot of storage. So what they did was they actually tore down the wall here and built this storage cabinet. So all these are all storage But the reason why I show you this, right, is because there's a second implication of them building this. Because they tore down the wall, right, that's why their master bedroom got more space. So you can see, so this serves all their storage functional needs. We go see the master bedroom, then 你懂我在讲什么了。The second room here, the cabinet is here, right? The storage cabinet is here. Then you come into the master. Okay. So you can see on the flip side, this will be their whole stack of cabinet. Previously, what happened was that the room was modeled such that the cabinet 是这样，就在床这里的旁边。So it gets a little bit weird. Imagine with me你走进那个房间 right? Then there will be this divider slash cabinet. 讲是 divider but probably it's because the room didn't have space for them to put the cabinet and anywhere else. Imagine 那个 cabinet you 放在这里 right? With the bed. A lot of IDs make this mistake. You never measure properly the width of the room. You put a bed and then you put a cabinet here, right, which may be about 60 cm. There will be no space to walk and no space to open the door. It will be damn frustrating. You need to tear something down, right, or you live with a non-usable wardrobe. But because they tore down this wall and built this cabinet inwards, right, now 它不但有路走, they can also open and use the cabinet very freely here, compared to the alternative, which is they build back here But then they can only build a bit here only they cannot build this whole stretch. So this maximizes the efficiency of the space. Not only can they build there, then 它这边有一个洞then 它这里也，所以 they can continue to build their storage cabinet. So this was one of the major remodeling that was done because they really needed the storage space and the master room as it was previously, right, could not take in the amount of capacity that they actually needed. So 这个很重要啊。Next time when you see your room, right, especially for the newer BTOs, 你一定要看哦 whether is there space to put a cabinet front facing with your bed. If not, 逮住啊，死的是你。Okay, this is the master. Evidently, there's more space now compared to the common bath. So if you can come in, see, all this quite standard lah. 他们 build a vanity cabinet, bottom cabinet, everything tile. This wood texture to make it look different. Yeah, but it's more or less bigger lah. You can't compared to just now that one. So that's why when you shower here, you won't make the whole place wet. But then the common bathroom 就有点假啦。Okay, so to conclude, there's only two things that I want you all to know from this home tour. 第一个东西就是 lighting is very important, like what the homeowner say lah. Lighting really accentuates the ambience of the place. So if you want to make it nice, the false ceiling and the lighting, right, 这两个东西不可以省。Second thing I want to know, design 不是 fixed 的。Originally at the start they wanted wabi-sabi, but then over time they realized that it's not very practical, it's not very timeless, and then they switched to this. Not too sure what theme is it lah, but it's a bright, airy, nature-centered kind of theme, which makes the whole place timeless. So they want to stay for long term, so of course they need a design that's more timeless. So more or less, these are the 2 points that I hope you all can take away with. So this is the end of our home tour. If you are looking for reliable IDs and contractors, can check us out at deconstruct.sg. If not, any other question, comment, subscribe, whatever stuff, feel free to comment. Okay? Can to the next home tour.